Welcome back, Photoshop, fair images, creating collages. We're going to go back just a little bit and review a few things and practice a little bit more. So I'm going to call this video 0. Previous day we had videos 1 and 2, but I want to back up a little bit and spend some time utilizing the brushes and working to really make a smooth transition between the images. I noticed a lot of students, I think I provided you with too much too soon, so I'll take responsibility for that. We need to back up a little bit and really good at using that eraser tool and adjusting the opacity so that we get these really smooth transitions between images. That's the real key to making a really nice professional looking collage. And once again, it's always something, use the standard, something you want to hang on the wall. So we're going to use just 3 images, and I want everybody to complete this and do this as an assignment, and you might need to do it twice just to practice. So we're just going to use 3 images. You're going to grab this Candy Factory image and then grab this picture here of Michaela and also the one of Hoppy here. We're going to use those 3 images and put those together and use those images to practice with the brush. So go ahead and pause the video at this time. Get those images and get to where you have this one with Michaela and Hoppy, and then we'll come on back and get started. Let's start with our background image. We're going to layer the other 2 on top of this, but something that we need to do first, of course, is duplicate it so we don't, because we're going to change it around a little bit here. So I'm going to go ahead and image, duplicate this, and I'm just going to call this my background. And then I'm going to close the original. Step 2. Let's go ahead and duplicate this layer, and I want to show you why. Duplicate the layer. So we got the background copy. And the reason we did that is because notice here now that I have access to these handles because it's a layer rather than a background. And so I'm going to call this the background layer. And now I can readjust the size of it. And the reason I want to is because I noticed yesterday some of you using this, and when I was doing it, when you erase and you're erasing through to this picture, a lot of times you ended up with this white from the clouds, and it just doesn't look good. And what we're really interested in is all this nice colorful imagery from the fair. You got the Ferris wheel there and all of that. So what we're going to do is just increase the size of this, and I'm going to do that and then try to fill in that whole frame with a nice color. And then I'll click the check mark. So now I have a real big colorful background. And now that I've done that work, I want to go ahead and save this as my fair collage background. And I'll put a 1 on it so I know it's my first one. And save that. And that way I can come back to this with some other pictures. And I don't have to go and bother resizing it again or doing all of this. It's already done for me, and I can just open this up and go to work on it. So make sure you have that done. Pause if necessary, ask questions, and then we will continue. Next up, let's go ahead and duplicate this one, and then we can put the original away. And that's a copy, and if you want, I'm going to call that copy 1. And then I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the first one, so I can go back and get that if I want. That background copy is the one I'm going to work on. Let's go ahead and float these images. You can do that by dragging these out, or you can click on Window, Arrange, float all in windows. And when you do that, it'll remove all of those from the taskbar and lay them out here in your workspace. I'm making sure I'm on the Move tool, drag the first image out and put it on top of that candy. Background, resize, I'm holding the Shift key down. Something like that. Give that a try. And then I'll take and put this image over and resize this one. And then you want to make sure you do a lot of overlap here. Don't do this. That's not enough. See what I'm saying here? No, more. A lot. That's better. Of course, we've got to get Hoppy in there, so I'll probably have to resize that a little bit. And remember, you can always use your opacity too if you want to see what's behind that picture a little bit there. Because we don't want to cover her face up completely. So I'm thinking maybe I might make it a little smaller there. Something like that. Click that check mark. And then be sure to put your opacity back up on that layer to 100. So this is where you want to get, is to this point right here. And now that I'm at that point, I'm going to go ahead and save it. And then, because I'm going to go in and make some major changes, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this one too. I'm going to call this copy 2. There it is. I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to put this one back up on the taskbar in case I need to go back to a good copy. And then I'm just going to work on this one. File, Save As. Copy 2. And then we get to where we want to go to work with the eraser tool now and do some practice. So one of the main goals is to get rid of the edge. We're trying to get away from making it look like we have pictures pasted on top of another picture. And by getting rid of these corners and these hard edges here, that's how we do that. So make sure we're on the layer that we first want to work on. And so we'll go ahead and start with layer 2 here. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and name these. You know, I'm not sure how to spell her name, but we're going to do that. At least I know who I'm talking about there. And then I'll use Hoppy's name on this one. And then also note you could move these around the other way. You could put that one on top. You could do it that way. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to my eraser tool, and I'll go ahead and work on the Michaela photo here. So I'm going to get my eraser, and I'm going to go ahead and start at 100% and make sure it's a soft brush right here. And you can also adjust the size of the brush up here too, just for a starting point. Some of you have had some trouble with the brush not looking correct, and that's because your caps lock button has been on. So I'm going to get a brush about that size, about 400, and then just use that just to begin by just getting rid of that hard edge right there. We don't want that on there. So that's the first thing to do, is get rid of that. And then if you have some material that you know you want to go away at 100%, you can go ahead and start doing that. And we know we want his face in there. I'm going to slow down a little bit though here. And then I'm going to change my opacity, because we want these changes to be gradual. And this is where a lot of you were having trouble yesterday. We want nice, smooth transitions. And the way you do that is to change this. I would go down to 30% for the next one. Make the brush a little bigger and work with the edge of that brush and just fade that in gradually like that. Just nice and smooth. And then for the final one, take that a little bit more there. Just take it down to about 12%, 10, 12%. And then fade in even just a little bit more. And each time I'm clicking, it's only taking like 10% out of there. Get a nice smooth transition. And the goal is to make it hard to tell where one picture ends and the other one begins. And so for now I'm going to leave that, and then I'm going to go over to the Hoppy picture and do the same thing. I'm going to come back up to 100% and get rid of that line. Got to be a little careful here. Don't want to erase his head, so I'm going to get a smaller brush when it gets near there. That's looking pretty good. And then I'm going to go down to 30% and get rid of some of this blue. Fade that. Maybe even a little bit down here. And then down to 10. $13, close enough. And then smooth that out. There we go, and that's giving us, need a little bit right there. That blue's a little too harsh. Smooth that out there. Maybe try to blend his hair into that a little bit. There you go, and then we have a pretty nice transition between these images. Nice and smooth. So give that a try, show that to me, and from that point on, it's a matter of just repeating this with multiple images on your background. So good luck with that.